Hello, my name's Chrissy Webber from Love It to Lose It, and I'm delighted to be here today to tell you my fearless story. I actually have a problem with my weight. Who doesn't these days? The world is obsessed with dieting, and I have been obsessed since the age of 17 with my weight and dieting. Sadly, I was an obese child because my mum thought she was doing really a loving job feeding me up because I was £2.12 when I was born, and look at me now. I became an obese child, an obese adult, and my weight fluctuated up and down, but mostly up and up and up. There were periods in my life when I lost a lot of weight, but I was never happy when I got down to my goal weight. I never actually loved myself, and that was the problem. I hated myself and my body. It didn't matter what weight or size or shape I was, I still hated it. See, the problem is that when we're dieting, we set up this negativity in our heads, which constantly tells us we're not good enough. I always told myself I was not good enough. I was not lovable. I could not love myself for love nor money. And so I eventually decided to do something different. And I used mindful meditation and a spiritual way to get in touch with my mind and to really change my mindset about food. And I began to really learn to love food and to eat in a more conscious way and a more mindful way. And it worked for a long time. The weight dropped off me and I lost so much weight that I decided to write a book about it. And I did. It was published in 2008 and it's called Weight Loss Life Gain. I really thought I had found the key to permanent weight loss for me and for other people, hopefully. But then, several years later, after losing all that weight and keeping it off, a major life crisis happened, and what did I do? I put the weight all back on and more and more and more. I was devastated. I was feeling ashamed at having written a book that was giving answers to other people that I couldn't sustain. And so I just gave up again. What was the use in dieting? 98% of us do not manage to keep the weight off for longer than 2 years. So I just gave up, like a lot of people. Then eventually I thought there has to be something missing. There has to be something that I'm not doing that would help me to actually lose weight and to keep it off. I sat down and I used my meditation to think through this deep problem. And then it popped into my head. What I wasn't doing was loving myself and loving my body. Yes, I'd learnt to love food and love the food that loved me, but I still didn't love myself, truly, and I definitely didn't love my body. So that was the process I began to develop. And that's where Love It to Lose It comes from. Because by loving myself, I found out some major things about myself. And the biggest one was that I personally am addicted to sugar. I now realise there was nothing wrong with my willpower because no amount of willpower can overcome an addiction. So I decided to really think about the foods that I was eating and to keep away from the foods that I was addicted to. And the weight dropped off again. In fact, in the first 6 months, I dropped 3 dress sizes in just 6 months. It was amazing. But then what happened? Another hiccup in my life, and I turned back to the comfort foods, the sugars and the carbohydrates. And I began to feel awful again. What was wrong with me? Actually, there wasn't anything wrong with me. That is the problem of being an addict. It's so easy to turn back to the foods that you're addicted to. So I decided that I would actually look at ways of managing my addiction. And that's what I began to write about, and I began to develop a process and a programme which I've now put online called Love It to Lose It, and my Love Yourself Slim programme. But that wasn't the only thing that I was doing. And without realising it, I was using lots of different techniques like mirror work and affirmations to really build a positive self-image of myself. Then, as we were developing the website, a friend of mine who was helping with the branding suggested that we used photographs of ladies in their undies. Oh my goodness, I didn't like that idea at all. I came home from the meeting and I thought, why do I feel so uncomfortable about it? And then I realised it was because I felt uncomfortable with my body and my body image. I still wasn't loving me and all my wobbly bits. So I sat down and I thought, what am I missing out on? And I'm missing out on loving myself totally. So I began to use my techniques in a more in-depth way, certainly a lot more mirror work and a lot more meditation. Then I began to talk to friends and family about the idea of using photographs of ladies in their undies on my website. And I was surprised at the response. Most thought it was a brilliant idea because it showed actually that the whole ethos of Love It to Lose It is about loving our bodies and being confident with who we are. Then one day a friend of mine said, so when are you going to do it? So I said, do what? And he said, take your kit off and be photographed in your undies. Oh my goodness. My mind just went into overdrive in panic for 1 second because I was panicking thinking, oh my God, I can't do this. Then something flipped in my mind and it changed to, oh my God, yes I can. I'm really ready for this. So within a couple of weeks, I booked a photographer I know and his studio, and I went along to have my photographs taken in my undies. Was I scared? Well, actually, I don't know whether it was fear or whether it was excitement, because I think it was a tinge of both. So I got to the studio and I decided, this is it, Chrissy, you can do it. I loved my body at that stage and I knew I did. And you can tell from the photographs, from the very first one, that I had a ball. I loved having my photographs taken in my undies and I couldn't believe the results. When I got the photographs, I looked so joyful and so confident because that's how I now feel about my body. I was 65 years old when I took my kit off and had my photographs taken. Wow, I still can't believe I did it. I look at the photographs now, and especially the one on my roll-up banner that's full size. And I look at it and I think, oh my goodness, I have changed so much. I love myself so much. And it doesn't matter about my wobbly bits because this is who I am. And without using the techniques to love myself more, I would never have discovered all of this. So how did I feel about the photos when they went live and I went public with them? And there was a tinge of fear there. I wondered what people would say and what people would do. 90% of the people actually came over and praised me for having such confidence and said that they wouldn't have the confidence to do the same thing. But for me, it wasn't confidence anymore. It was about loving myself. And yes, there were those people that were negative about it. And I realised it was because they felt uncomfortable with their own bodies. And I hope in some small way I've helped to get them to think about how they could love themselves more and love their body so that they too can have their confidence in themselves no matter what size they are. So what's the key to self-love? It's about learning step by step that you are beautiful and that you are lovable. It takes time, it can't be done overnight, and it took months for me to get to this stage, and probably years. I've probably been working at it most of my adult life. But what about handling the fear now, moving forward? I can't tell you how the experience made me realise that fear is all in our heads. All we have to do to get past it is to take action and to do something in a positive way to change that negative mental attitude about ourselves or whatever the fear is. So now I feel the fear and I do it anyway. And does it matter about what other people say and think? No, it doesn't. Because my mantra now is I can and I will, because I love myself now and forever. And my body is beautiful. And I hope this fearless message helps some of you to find that way through your fears, whatever those fears may be, but hopefully to find a way to love your body, but love it and respect it enough to eat the foods that suit it best and that love your body best, so that you can find the weight you were born to be. It's not through dieting that we find that. It's through love and being fearless. So good luck and let me know what happens, because I'd love to hear your stories.